I've been here in Pokhara now for 3 weeks. I've been working, I've been paragliding, and I cycled up to the highest lake in the world. But now it's time to move on. I've got to go to Kathmandu, get a new visa for India, a new visa for Burma, plan out the whole next leg of the trip. It's just a 2-day ride from Pokhara to Kathmandu, and I'm going to use this trip to answer one big question. How can I afford to cycle around the world? But now I'm too busy. I've got to pack up my bike, get some sleep, and get on the road. So I'll see you in Kathmandu. Bye-bye Pokhara, I'm gonna miss you. First day and 130 kilometers from Pokhara, which leaves me a nice 70 kilometers to do in the morning, climbing up 1,000 meters into town. The highway's very, very busy and very, very dusty. This is not washing off in the river, so I'm gonna have to give it another go. But it's been mercifully flat, a lot of downhill from Pokhara as well, so I made really good progress. The crazy thing is it's 37 degrees today, and the most humid I've ever experienced on the trip. So I can feel like summer's coming. So this next leg to Laos is going to be very, very tough, I think. Once I've got my visas, should take about 7 days in Kathmandu. I'll be heading 3,000 plus kilometers across 4 countries to get to Vientiane in Laos. But it is going to be toasty because yeah, the northern hemisphere summer is coming up, and although the seasons are not the same this close to the equator, the heat definitely is rising. At least the days are longer, that's the thing. Up at 5 o'clock tomorrow and hopefully get as far as I can without guys just doing throw fishing now with a net. There's a guy collecting herbs over there as well, on this picturesque but pretty dirty riverbank. Anyway, back to the road and I'll see you in Kathmandu. I can't escape the trucks. They're everywhere, even when I'm camping. I'm just waiting for my food to cool down and hoping that storm doesn't come over me. I've really enjoyed Pokhara. Like anywhere on this trip where I've been enjoying myself too much, I came for 2 weeks and I ended up staying just over a month, and I think it's got the perfect mix for me. I had a beautiful apartment with panoramic views of the city and the rainforest behind, with nice big balconies, not too loud for Asian standards, only a couple of dogs outside in the night, and I had a great workspace there. I was 5 minutes from the lakeside where there's food, restaurants, cafes, supermarkets, everything touristy that I could want. And then it's an hour-and-a-half hike up to the Sarangot paragliding launch. So I could sit there, have breakfast at 8 o'clock, hike up for 10 o'clock, fly for the morning, land for lunchtime, have some lunch in a cafe, come back to the flat, do 8 hours of work and go to sleep and repeat the next day. So overall it was a really spot on place for me, and obviously surrounded by the stunning Himalayas, the Annapurna range. It's just yeah, just a great place to be. I'm just so chilled out, man. This country's relatively chilled out compared to anywhere else I've been, and I just love that vibe, love that hippie vibe, Love the chilled out vibe, love the outdoors vibe. You can get healthy food. So all in all, it's yeah, somewhere that I definitely want to come back to. I made it through 36 degrees, humidity, and almost as much dirt as India. It's even got on the camera. Let me clean up, and then I'll go through how I can make this all happen. Sparkling. Here's my view over Kathmandu. TV to work. I've exploded all my kit out, as always. Testing, 1, 2, 3. How's the lighting? Hoping it's pretty good. Not too quiet though, but oh well. Yo, how's it going? I just about made it through the 36-degree heat and the humidity up a huge climb into Kathmandu today. I've really hit my limit of temperatures. The summer's coming in the northern hemisphere and I feel like I'm going to really struggle over the next month to get to Laos. I'm going to go southeast into even more heat and even more humidity and even more mountains. But I'm all camped up here, got some cash out ready for the embassies. I'm going to give the Indian government and the Burmese or Myanmar government a lot of cash tomorrow, but they let me pass through their countries. So anyway, what was I going to talk about? Yes, money. How do I actually sustain this trip? I left London with less than £1,000 in my bank account, which I actually learned recently is more than that annual wage of the average employee in Nepal. And as you can probably see, I'm not travelling like Josiah Skeets, who I spoke to in the podcast a few months ago. I'm a remote worker. I posted a Medium post a couple of years ago with this plan to travel and work in 25 cities all around the world. So when I also decided to cycle around the world, I thought I'd combine the missions into one. My original plan was to cycle for 6 months of the year, work for the other 6 months of the year, and fund the trip. But in reality, I'm just coming up to the first year on the road, and it looks more like about 8 months working to 4 months not working. And from that, I earn about £40,000 to £60,000 a year. I've got some extra expenses like co-working spaces and apartments like this one, which I wouldn't necessarily pay for if I wasn't working 24/7 when I have a job. I need strong Wi-Fi, I need a private space, and co-working spaces have proved pretty good. But where those don't exist, apartments like this are a lifesaver. What do I do? Well, I've been a professional web developer for 10 years, and luckily coding is one of those things where you can take a 1-week project, pick it up, hand it off to someone else, and importantly for this kind of thing, make a fair amount of money. So 90% of my clients are based in the UK, and the majority of those I've worked with in the past in some form professionally. Coding is obviously a great digital nomad job, but along the way I've met copywriters, I've met teachers, I've met graphic designers, I've met marketers. Anyone that can work from a laptop can do this. It's remarkably possible these days. I'm going to do a couple more videos on the apps and also the kit that I need to make this really work. For me, the main thing is communication. If I can't communicate effectively with people in the UK, then why are they going to pay you? My advice is pretty generic freelancer advice, to be honest. Generalize what you can do. Is there a skill that you have that a company can pay you for in small increments? Is there a way that you can productize what you do, create an online course for what you do, or consult for what you already do? I'd also look out for companies that support remote work. I found boards like Remote OK a bit tricky because even though the companies there accept remote workers, generally they still want you to work 50 weeks a year, which for this kind of trip just isn't possible. I would never get anywhere. My advice beyond that is to use your existing connections. It's very tempting when you do a trip like this to walk into your boss's office, give them the middle finger, and then walk out. But actually, is there a way that you can talk to your boss and get them to move you down to remote work or freelance work instead? They'll save money because they don't have to pay for your national insurance, and you'll get the freedom that you want. Also, they already trust you, hopefully, and so that conversation is likely to go better than if you meet a stranger in the street, or particularly if you apply to a job ad that wasn't specifically for remote work. Sites like LinkedIn and private Slack groups are a good extension of your personal connections. I've got jobs from both Tech London Slack, some specific developer Slack groups, and LinkedIn recently has been pretty effective too. Alternatively, you can start your own company. This is very appealing because you get rolling revenue coming in, but don't underestimate the amount of work. I've started my new company Stream On, which is technically the second business I've started, and I know that it takes years and years and years to build something like this up. So right now, I'm doing both freelance work and building the business side by side. So this is what I'm trying to say, is long-term travel like this is very, very possible. I've done it, so you probably could too. It's hard work, but it's possible. And funnily enough for me, after working and living in London for 10 years, I've actually been able to save money for the first time. More videos on that coming up. What do you think your boss would say if you told them you were leaving to travel the world? I'm happy to answer any questions about my travel in the comments below. And thank you so much for the hundreds of subscribers that have made this possible so far. Next to Lao.